this meeting to order. This is the Plan Commission meeting of Tuesday, January 26, 2016. Roll call.
Johnston here.
Brillo here.
Squeedy here.
Guzikowski here.
Seifert here.
Chandler here.
And Commissioners Correll and Dickman are excused. Item 2 is minutes of the January 12, 2016 meeting.
Seifert moves to approve the minutes of January 12th, 2016.
Guzikowski will second.
Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Brillo,
Squeedy, aye.
Guzikowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Thank you, folks. Item 3 is significant common council actions. Carry.
Common Council approved the following: an ordinance amending another ordinance to extend Section 11, the time of compliance, to a deadline of December 21st, 2016, for the commencement of construction of Phase 1 on the property located at 8760 South Mayhew Drive. Also approved an ordinance for an amendment to the comprehensive plan for the city of Oak Creek affecting properties at 7721 South Pennsylvania Avenue, 2100, 2200, and 2280 East Drexel Avenue. This was held from the 1/5/16 meeting. Also approved a resolution for a certified survey map for the properties at 8640 South Howell Avenue and 340 East Putes Road. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. Any questions? All right, moving on to 4A under old business. It's a proposed sign plan submitted by Steve Ignarski, Prairie Sign and Lighting LLC, for the Mattress Firm retail portion of the property located at 320 West Town Square Way, tax key number 813-9048. We had extensive discussion on this last Plan Commission meeting. What's different this time? Carrie. Applicant, come up.
The applicants have decided to remove the proposed wall sign on the north elevation, restricting the signs to both the east and west elevations as staff recommended and was recommended by the Plan Commission. There are two options for the Plan Commission to consider. One shows the Mattress Firm sign, just the letters, and then the other is the logo with the swoosh element incorporated. They are showing that on both elevations for your consideration. Just as a reminder, wall signs cannot exceed 15% of the retail floor height of the building, which limits the heights to 40 inches on the west elevation and 37.8 inches on the east. The drawings show proposed signage that are in compliance with those heights. Staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission approves the sign plan submitted by Steve Ignarski for Prairie Sign and Lighting on behalf of Mattress Firm for the property at 320 West Town Square Way, subject to conditions 1 through 3. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. And the applicant is here. Name and address for the record. Is that mic on? Okay, how am I supposed to do that? I have no idea how to turn that mic on. Yeah, just use that one. See if I can figure that out.
Steve Ignarski, Prairie Sign and Lighting. Address is 11108 42nd Avenue, Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin.
Thank you, sir. If I remember right, we had a lot of discussion about the sign. I think the Plan Commission overwhelmingly looked for the but the previous logo that was submitted with the swoosh. It looks like you're coming back with that. Actually, two ideas.
Yes.
Okay. What's the thought process there?
Well, Mattress Firm wants the sign without the swoosh. They want a bigger sign.
Mhm.
So that is their first option. They still want to push for the bigger of the two signs. So we have the bigger of the two signs is 29-inch letter, 25 foot 6 and 11/16 in width. Both S1 and S3 are the same size, identical. And then option 2 with the swoosh, it's reduced. S1 is a 25-inch letter with a 22 foot 3/8 overall length. And on the rear elevation,
You're good, Carrie.
option 2 with the swoosh would be roughly 24 inches by 20 feet, 11 and a half.
Okay. Comments from the Plan Commission, Chauncey?
Can you provide more information about the colors for the signs on both, for both signs?
The colors is white LED, white plex faces. The swoosh is a vinyl, yellow vinyl graphic with white LED.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
both
then-
signs are, with the verbiage, are all white? with
Yes.
White LED, okay, thank you.
Except for the
The
swoosh or
swoosh.
the logo.
And once again, just for clarity, the preference is without the swoosh?
Right.
Okay,
They want
Thank you.
the larger.
okay.
That's mattresses firm, mattress firm's preference.
Right.
Mr. Seibert?
Yeah, are these signs illuminated or lit up in the evening?
Yes, they'll be internally illuminated with low voltage.
Okay.
12 volt.
All right, thank you.
Anything? Commissioner Carrillo?
I understand that they want no swoosh so they can have bigger letters, but I suggest that we all kind of take a look at the two. I mean, I think it's a major drastic, when you take the swoosh off, it becomes really large in that area. And I almost think it overpowers the PetSmart, which is kind of smaller and contained within that square. So, I think overall, I think the best, most appealing on our end would be with the swoosh, even though it's adding a little color to it. It really does look more balanced in that area, my personal opinion.
I agree with Commissioner Carrillo. Other comments? Alderman Bekavich?
Looking at it, the one without the swoosh, virtually, first of all, the square footage of these signs are virtually the same, with the swoosh or without. They're within inches of each other. Nothing really different there. The overall length actually is longer without the swoosh. Height, I think with the swoosh, it's actually a small design. Correctly. I find them virtually the same. Personal preference, I think the swoosh may look a little better, but if the applicant wants the bigger sign, I'm okay with that because I really don't, by looking at the pictures, I can't really say how big that smart sign is. But again, if I would go with the applicant's, whatever he wants, because to me, it's basically the same sign.
All right, so we've got, we don't have a consensus on the commission. We got to come up with some consensus here because we're not bringing this back a third time. So the applicant's asking for the mattress firm without the swoosh. Some of us are asking for the mattress firm sign with the swoosh. The size between, the difference is not that much. Huh? Yeah, just quickly review them. And then someone's gonna have to make a motion either way.
Okay, I'm gonna go through the two available designs per elevation. So on the west side, this is with, without,
Go do it again.
with the swoosh element,
Yep.
without the swoosh element. That's for the west. On the east, this is without, with. One more time, without, with.
Everybody see that difference? Yeah?
I like it without the switch.
The applicant has also pointed out that with the swoosh on this elevation, it's actually right justified.
To the right side of that area. Yes. With this, with it.
It looks to be about the same with or without, but it's right justified rather than being kind of central,
Yeah.
if you notice.
All right, somebody want to make a motion on it?
Your preference was without the swoosh.
The applicant's preference.
Just from once.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, Kavich will make a motion that the plan commission approve the sign plan submitted by Steve Ski, butchered that, Prairie Sign and Lighting on behalf of Mattress Firm property at 320 West Town Square Way with following conditions. At one wall sign on the west elevation, which inches have, I'm gonna make it without the swoosh carry, so is it 40 inch?
It's 40 inches total, with or without the swoosh, doesn't matter. That's the total height for the sign.
Okay. That one wall, west wall elevation, maximum height sign 40 inches. One wall sign on the east elevation, maximum height, primary sign 37.8 inches. Location shown on the plans approved April 28, 2015. Approved. That one internally illuminated secondary monument sign, 6 by 6 by 6 foot by 6 foot on the south portion of the property as shown on the plans. Approved April 28, 2015. Tenants are approved. That the sign strictly is block letters stating swoosh.
One more.
Oh, and that a permit application for all signs is submitted to the inspection.
Seifert seconds.
Motion is made, seconded by Seipert. Roll call.
Before you do roll call, can I just get clarification on the motion?
Sure.
Block letters for all signage, or you only mentioned block letters for the monument sign?
It would be, are the block letters in the monument too? I believe they're all block.
Well, mentioned specifically without the swoosh.
Without, we'd be consistent, block letters throughout all three signs.
Okay, thank you.
Motion made, seconded. Roll call.
Johnston, no.
Grillo, no.
David, aye.
Just say 3/4 or just a majority? Speedy, aye.
Guzekowski, no.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, no.
Okay, I guess they're telling you that they want the swoosh.
Swoosh it is. I'm happy either way. It'll do well.
We have a little bit of a problem here.
Mm-hmm.
You have not approved the signs at all.
Right.
This would require the applicant to come back again for review.
Yep. That's what happens when you have no votes.
Just wanted to clarify for everybody that this is a complete no vote on all of the signs.
Yep. The applicant has to understand, you gotta come back in 2 weeks with the signage that we're looking for, go through the process. I know. The motion was made for the signage. Without that, the motion was was denied. You see any other way around it, Carrie?
No.
I don't either. That's just the way it works. Fresh meeting, fresh motion with the signage that asked for.
Staff will work with the applicant to
Yep.
proceed.
That's why I say, when you come before the commission, you listen to what they say. When they say they want it a specific way, and it's a reasonable request, you gotta play ball. That's the way I look at it. And I apologize for the delay. Thank you. All right, 5A is under new business is a plan review of site building and landscaping and lighting plan submitted by Sean McKibben, Oak Park Place, for the Assisted Living and Memory Care Facility, Phase 1 on the property located at 1980 West Rawson Avenue. Tax key number 736-8995-001. I think we're gonna have to use, does those mics work for citizen comment? Please turn one on for me. Barb, any idea why the podium mic doesn't work? You sure there's not a switch on there? Is it on? All right, turn that one off. It does work. Just pull it down if you have to speak. All right, thank you. Okay, Carrie?
This is for approval of Phase 1 of the Oak Park Place development, which was rezoned last year to RM1 multifamily residential with a conditional use for a licensed elderly community living arrangement with a capacity of 16 or more persons and housing for the elderly / multiple family dwellings in excess of 4 dwelling units per structure. Phase 1 consists of a 2-story, which is a split-level building, 42 units of memory care and single occupancy, 40 units of assisted living, 3 units will be 2-bedroom, and 37 single occupancy units. There was a slight revision from the concept plan on the site plan itself. This is to comply with setbacks to the future South 20th Street right-of-way. Also centralized all parking in the center of the lot next to the building, rather than splitting it out. Per the conditions and restrictions that were approved as part of the conditional use permit, parking is calculated at 1 stall for 3 patient beds plus 1 stall per employee with the largest shift. This would require a minimum of 54 stalls, and 57 are shown on the plan, so therefore that requirement has been met. Loading areas which have enclosed garage doors are on the northwest corner of the building. All setbacks for the building and parking are met. However, there is one notation on the south that shows a building setback of 25 feet that needs to be revised to 30 feet. Pardon me? We have one request for a monument sign, which would be located on the southwest corner. Per municipal code requirements, a residential development sign is restricted to a maximum height of 6 feet and 48 square feet per side for a total of 96 square feet in total. And it may not be illuminated. The proposed sign does exceed the height restriction by 4 inches. And it will be up to the applicant whether to pursue a variance through the sign appeal process or revise the sign to meet the provisions of the code. It also has to be located a minimum of 10 feet from street rights-of-way and side and rear lot lines and outside of vision triangles. After speaking with members of the engineering department, the preferred location in this case for the sign is outside of the future right-of-way vision triangle. You will note that this would require moving the monument sign a little bit further back. However, if the proposed location in the site plan is approved, which is acknowledging the vision triangle from the existing right-of-way, then the sign would be required to be moved once that 20th Street expansion occurs. Landscaping plans were reviewed by the city forester. There may be slight revisions needed. There is a condition of approval that says to have revised plans submitted to the Department of Community Development for review and approval prior to submission of building permit applications. I apologize that these elevations are slightly small. However, what I wanted to point out are the proposed building materials per elevation. They are comprised of composite fascia, trim, shake siding, lap siding, and freeze board. Also stone sills, lintels and veneer, brick veneer, and windows. There are 3 pre-finished metal guardrail fences proposed, one on the west elevation for outdoor seating, on the east elevation for a second floor patio, and also to separate the outdoor courtyard from the service yard on the east. Per code, the use of composite products requires a 3/4 majority approval of the Plan Commission. It also requires a minimum of 65% of the total exterior wall area of a multifamily residential building to be comprised of brick or decorative masonry material. Masonry and composite material calculations are shown on sheet A5, which was handed out prior to the meeting. This is a revision from what was in your packet. It will be up to the Plan Commission to determine whether the proposed materials and percentages are acceptable. Rather than going on these elevations, I'd rather show you the renderings, which are in color. So this is showing you a bird's eye view looking east. Again, looking east at ground level. I'm not entirely certain which perspective this one is. Up, please.
Let's come up to the podium. And then just name and address for the record.
Mark Cruiser, Madison, Wisconsin. I'm the architect from ADCI.
Pull the mic up. Thanks.
I'm gonna go through the rest of the renderings. If you could just tell me what perspective we're looking at?
What was one? Carrie,
Sorry,
start again.
start again, all right.
Yeah.
Bird's eye view,
Rendering one, oh,
rendering 1 is a bird's eye view. Rendering 2 is ground level, looking east. So if you're on 20th Street looking east, you're seeing the west side of the building. Okay? Rendering 3 is,
This view is from the south from Rawson Road.
rendering 4 is if you were standing on the east property line looking west.
And this view is from the north looking toward the building to the south. And this is the entry from kind of, you know, in the parking lot. Looking at the entry portico chair.
Good images.
Rather than going through the cuts of each elevation, I just want to let the commission know. Comments were received from the water and sewer utility regarding size of the water main, the need for a proposed valve, slope requirements in a location, and noting that there is no coverage along the east side of the building for fire protection. These plans were also reviewed by the fire department. Fire department, without putting words in your mouth, sir, stated that they would work with the architect to ensure available access and adequate turnarounds for fire apparatus. Staff recommendation on the plans is that the Plan Commission approves the site and building plan submitted by Sean McKibben of Oak Park Place for Phase 1 of the licensed elderly community living arrangement with a capacity of 16 or more persons and housing for the elderly / multiple family dwellings in excess of 4 dwelling units per structure at 1980 West Rawson Avenue, subject to conditions 1 through 6. Mr. Mayor.
Got a couple residents that would like to speak on it. First one is Daniel. What's the last name? Okay.
My address is 6915. I actually am the last house on the left as you head north on 20th.
Okay.
And I'm proud to be here because my son actually put all the metal up for this building.
Okay.
We have concerns about the sidewalks and the sewers. Like I said, I'm right across the street. And actually, Gene is too. We're wondering what's going to happen. Are you going to widen 20th Street to be a 4-lane, or are you going to take up some of our properties?
Brian, you want to speak to that?
At this time, there's no plans to widen 20th Street.
Okay. What about sidewalks and sewers?
There's no plans to install sidewalks on 20th or on Rawson at this time.
Have they even given any consideration to all the animals and wildlife that are in that woods? Guess not, huh? We get deer coming across there all the time through that woods.
What's the size of the property?
Size of the property is approximately 6.3 acres.
Okay. The amazing thing about wildlife, they always.
I know, they seem to move,
When I grew up in Oak Creek, there was no deer, and now there's deer everywhere, including down my street, which is 3 blocks from here, so.
Like I said, we were concerned also about the sidewalks and the sewer too, and the widening of 20th Street.
Yeah, right now
We
you have
don't
no
mind.
sidewalks, right? And,
Right, yeah, we have no sidewalks there.
yeah, okay. Anything else?
No, that would be it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Second comment is from Arden Degner, also related to sidewalks. Oh, come on up.
Okay,
No, I mean, right there.
okay. My name is Jean Vilwalk. I live at 7029 South 20th Street.
Okay.
My real concern is I moved in to my home in 1956, and that land across from me was as low as Timber Ridge, and it's all filled with foundry sand. Now, does the DNR have a problem with that being disturbed?
I'll go to Brian on this one. I'm assuming all those things would have to be checked out.
Yeah, that'll be up to the developer to go through all the processes for a Phase 1 environmental
Is
study.
are you aware that that's all foundry sand in there?
We're not, it's private property, so we don't
There
have
was
records of that.
Verdevs, they had a stone quarry and their trucks, and they had the whole thing filled in. And truly, it was as low as where Timber Ridge is.
Okay.
So that's a lot of oil buried in there.
Okay.
So,
I'll ask the applicant about it.
pardon?
I'll ask the applicant about it.
Okay. Because I know there is a problem with that usually when you disturb that.
Okay.
And there was no trees. The birds took care of planting the trees. Okay, and that would be my main
Okay.
problem.
Thank
And
you.
I definitely would not allow the road to be widened on our side.
Yeah, no plans currently to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Applicants, just want to come up, are you aware of any issues with the, go ahead, Brian.
I just want to mention too, that the applicant is pushing the road, or pushing the building to the east, because in the event that 20th Street is widened out, it's proposed that that'll go to the east, not to the west.
Right.
That's how the right-of-way is laid out now, that any widening would go to the east. That's why they're honoring that proposed right-of-way and pushing the building back to the east further.
Okay. So for the applicants, any understanding of what that soil makeup is out there? Not that it's
I'll let you speak to that, Sean.
directly relevant to what we're talking about right now.
I'm Sean McKibben, Madison. I work for Oak Park. We've done our phase one on this already. Didn't see anything in the phase one regarding that. We have not done our soil borings yet, but I don't anticipate that we'll see any issues with that. But nothing came up in the phase one.
Okay, and if there were, you'd have to deal with them as everybody else does. Okay. Mr. Kresick had a comment. Huh? You had a comment about the name? I didn't even think about it when you first brought it up to me.
The first thing I do want to comment on in regards to the hydrant placement around the facility, as mentioned earlier, we have been working with the firm and their civil engineer in regards to this. We have come up with some solutions. They've been very receptive to our request, and I believe we're very close to having hydrant coverage completely surrounding that structure. So that's gone very well. Regarding the name, we have in the city of Oak Creek, Oak Park Apartments, and the proposed Oak Park Place community living. When a call is received by our dispatch center, there's a couple key pieces of information. Two of those are the street address, the numbering, and then there is a common name that is also part of our CAD system. In case somebody calls from a location exterior of the building or a visitor inside the building, they don't know which building they're in, they can say, I'm at Oak Park Apartments, Oak Park Place Community Center. So that is a key element in our dispatch system and sometimes used as an identifier for a facility. I bring this up as information to the commission that there is a potential for confusion between two facilities with the same name. Although Oak Park Place and Oak Park Apartments, there are some syntax differences. There are some considerations that do work in the favor of the applicant in this case. The numbering scheme is different. Oak Park Apartments have a different numbering scheme because of their location in the city than Oak Park Place. So that certainly does work to their advantage in this case. I did talk with the applicants briefly. I'm well aware that there is branding. This is the name of their company. This is the name they would like to use. We are aware of that, and we're willing to work with them to come up with this solution for this issue.
Okay, so it's on our radar, it's something we need to be thinking about, but there may be some workarounds that we can do.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right. Thank you, Mike. Open up to the commission, Alderman Bekavich.
Really, I think it's a nice looking complex. From day one, people have really tried to work with the city to accommodate that property because it is different. And the road issue is concerning to the residents that have been there for a while, and it's glad to hear the information Brian shared that the road would be planned to go to the east. One of the concerns I had wasn't so much the parking as much as it was getting our emergency vehicles in there. Again, I think you're working on that turnaround or access point, but I'll leave that up to Assistant Chief Kresick to explain where he's at with that.
Much like the hydrant placement, we have taken a look at the access around the structure. They've provided a ring road around the entire facility, so that presents us with a very advantageous situation in addition to the parking up front. But one of the key elements we worked with was the placement of the fire department connection for the sprinkler system. They've got a relatively large area in the northwest corner that includes a pad and a loading dock type situation. They were very receptive to working with us for placement in that area.
And I guess my only other question is, really nobody's gonna enter on the far north entrance more. I guess you could, but for the most part, everybody's gonna use the southern entrance. That's gonna be a two-way in and out. Are we gonna have a problem making a left-hand turn towards 20th out of there? I guess I'll leave that to Brian. Setbacks.
Mr. Johnson?
Given the alignment that they have there, at peak times, there could be an issue of traffic backing up on 20th and making a left movement out of there could be a challenge. There's nothing in the plans at this time to do anything with that intersection or improve that intersection with this project or as a city project in the future.
I was thinking more in terms of maybe restricting left-hand turns between certain hours out of that entrance. Is that something we'd have to do through traffic and safety?
I would want to see this place up and operational first, at least in discussions that they've had at the Plan Commission before. There's not a whole lot of traffic and visitors that are coming to the site, mostly staff that's in there. Whatever their shifts are, could be opposite what the peak times are in 20th, and it wouldn't be an issue.
I was just gonna add
Thanks
that
for the
our shifts don't coincide with typical rush hours. Our first shift is 6 to 2, second shift is 2 to 10. So our shifts don't really coincide with typical rush hour type traffic. And the other traffic we have, you know, visitors, it's pretty minimal. I'd be really surprised if they're issue.
Okay, with the input from the applicant and Commissioner Johnston, pretty sad.
Mr.
Yeah.
Seibert?
I just have a question. I've got a drawing, and I just wonder if you can explain what the red lines are, the semicircles, so forth that you have on this drawing?
Yeah, they're retaining walls.
Those are what?
Retaining walls.
Oh, retaining wall, okay. It just, you know,
I mean, if you
didn't
wanted to
explain
see
it.
if Gary goes back to like looking to the north side, you can kind of see how the site drops off, and there are some great differences, and we had to put some retaining walls in.
Can you tell me how high they are, or what are they gonna be made out of?
I don't know, they're what, maybe
Okay,
and they're attractive ones.
and
Not
what's the
for-
reason for the retaining walls?
Pardon me?
What is the reason for these retaining walls?
For the differences in grade from one area to another.
Okay. Okay. Then I have one other question. On the north elevation, on the layout, there's a white block on one of them on the north. This section. Can you give me an idea why is that kind of standing out or whatever that is?
You gotta be on the mic if you're gonna speak.
That's a community room. We have it's kind of an auditorium type space, because we sometimes have entertainment in for our residents, and so it's kind of a small auditorium type thing.
So how far is that sticking out from the building? Looks like it's got some,
Sticks out like 3 feet.
okay.
It just sticks out 3
It
feet.
just stood out though, if you look at it on the west side, you see this kind of white block and I'm concerned about it.
Come up to the mic.
Carrie has up. Excuse me. This is how it looks in the color rendering that Carrie has up right now. So it's, the rendering doesn't, especially in smaller scale, everything kind of just blended together with the ink. So it's that area right in the center there. You can see it cantilevering out and it's got a gable above it. So it's just the siding that we're proposing, and then the materials above it are the shingles. So it just didn't turn out very good in that black and white rendering at a very small scale. So it really does, tie into the character of the building. So hopefully that view addresses your concern.
Just to me, it stands out a little bit. It kind of detracts a little from the rest of the building. That's my opinion.
Okay, Commissioner Chandler?
Carrie, can you provide information on the percentages for the materials? Do they meet all the requirements?
Those are the two options, or the two considerations for the Plan Commission. The use of composite material needs a 3/4 majority approval of the Plan Commission. And the applicant is passing around some material samples for you to consider. The other portion is whether or not the composite material would be considered by the Plan Commission as a masonry material to meet that 65% minimum. If that's the case, you have percentages that were provided to you in the handout that was given to you before the meeting. That lists all of the percentage breakdowns by elevation. So it's really a matter for the Plan Commission to determine whether or not this is an acceptable material and in the percentages that have been provided.
So the composite material, what area of the building?
Is it the light-colored area on the images? So,
So this, it's the tan colored areas, and that's the color we're proposing, the tan one in this, the tan sample. And then the white would be the trim. And that would also be the composite material.
So what I can do is go through the renderings again so you can get an idea of how it's going to look. Again, it would be composite materials, it would be stone veneer and brick veneer.
Samples, excuse me, the samples for the stone veneer, this is the stone veneer sample.
okay,
And then here's the brick sample.
okay. And do we know percentages on where of the building that's gonna be?
Yes,
Well-
we're at 65% for the whole building, and it's about an even split between the stone and the brick.
Okay. Commissioner Chandler? Anything else? Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
Just want to have you work with staff and engineering when you get along on the construction plans. There's some unique issues with this site for stormwater, so we'll have to work through those to get the construction plans going. On the back side of the building, the sidewalks that go out to the ring road, what's the intended use for those walks?
One is just to get, in case of emergency, to get people out. A walk is going to be shoveled, it would get them out and away from the building. But also, for those people who would like to take a walk, that fire lane will be used, very little, so that'll be a way for them to kind of walk around the site, as a way for on-site recreation.
Is there any concern if they are walking around there, can they get access back to the sidewalk on the front of the building to get back up, or do they have to walk through the parking lot to get back around if they are using that as a loop?
I guess there's not a connection back out to the front, so they would have to come into the building at another location around the back would be another option.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? So Carrie, other than the 3/4 majority, do we have to specify anything in the motion about the materials?
Just that the proposed materials are approved as proposed.
Okay. Go, Commissioner Chandler?
I have another question about the monument sign. Can you provide a little more information why it doesn't meet the requirements?
Sure. I apologize. I think the height was supposed to be adjusted to 6 feet, and it's 6'4", so we erred there. We're also looking at comments from city staff where that it should probably be 10 feet from that future right-of-way, and it's not. We're trying to position it kind of near the corner of Rawson Road and 20th Street, and so if we push it farther east, there's a nice 30-inch diameter existing tree there that, a nice mature tree that we'd like to leave. So we want to re-look at location. And so, initially we're looking at moving it farther east of that tree then, and then maybe making it, since it will be too far from the corner then, and then, excuse me, rather than having that at an angle, we would maybe look at having it perpendicular to Rawson Road so that then it could be seen, could have a, face on each side so that it can be seen from each direction. So we want to review that, and we understand we'd have to, either go through the city or bring it back here for that final review.
So does that mean we're not deciding on the monument sign today?
I think that if you approve of a sign that meets the minimum, or meets the maximum height requirements, then we can work with the applicant on citing it. But overall, the design, would be the Plan Commission's approval. So what you could do is add a condition saying one monument sign, at a maximum height of 6 feet is approved.
Thank you.
What's the color themes on that sign, if you know?
You might have to answer that. The masonry part will be these same materials, the sign face itself.
Is it standard branding for your?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Nothing out of the ordinary? Okay, anything else? Alderman Guzekowski?
I just want to thank you guys for the work you guys have done in bringing all the concerns back, taking care of the concerns of the neighbors. I do have one question, just to beat the road to death here a little bit. So if we were to ever widen the road, it's going to go to the east. Would there ever be, at that point, then, at the road widening, addition of sidewalks?
It would be anticipated that sidewalks would go along with that road. Right now, they're trying to preserve some of the trees that are along 20th, so I wouldn't push for sidewalks to be installed at this point along that future right-of-way line. But in the future, if sidewalks go in, all the trees go down, the road gets widened out, we'll have a major project going through there at that time.
Thanks.
As we typically do with road widening projects.
Yes.
So we're trying to maintain some of the natural features of that area. Okay, I'm gonna let Mr. Degner, Arden Degner, come up and tell us about sidewalks. Pull the mic down too, Mr. Degner.
Arden Degner, 8540 South Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm glad this came up, because if you will go across Rawson Avenue, you will notice that the DOT has arranged for a sidewalk on that side, and the road is marked across the, must be the access lane from the southbound road. There, it's marked for a sidewalk, yet apparently nothing has done. Nothing is shown on this, and I would suggest that this only be approved with sidewalks, both on Rawson Avenue, to continue and to allow passage of individuals that don't have expensive vehicles, pedestrians and others, particularly if we're talking about a senior community that wish to access anything on Rawson Avenue or even farther down one way or the other. Not only that, but if you will continue north on 20th Street, you will find sidewalks on both sides of 20th Street, south of College Avenue, up to, even in Oak Creek, up to 6800. There is a sidewalk on the east side of 20th Street. Please continue that kind of access for the individuals, because once we allow this kind of structure to be built without allowing access for individuals that don't have these expensive vehicles, it's very difficult and expensive later on. And I especially appreciated the comment of Commissioner Johnson too, because these roads that are circulating, this road that is circulating this project is only, I think in one spot, only 20 feet wide, mostly 30. How can individuals possibly be safe in this kind of environment with the concrete walkways going to the road and nothing the road. Now, I especially call your attention to this time of year when we have snowbanks, ice that are plowed onto the areas on either side, one way or the other. How are individuals going to traverse that kind of thing, that kind of an arrangement without a sidewalk along each road? So I would want each one of you to approve this with the requirement that sidewalks be added. Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Degner. Any other additional comments, Mr. Johnson? No. No? Motion.
Gavich will make a motion that the Plan Commission approve the site and building plan submitted by Sean McKibben, Oak Park Place for Phase 1 of the licensed elderly community living arrangement with a capacity of 16 or more persons in housing for the elderly, multiple family dwellings in excess of 4 dwelling units per structure, development at 1980 West Rawson Avenue with following conditions. 1, that all revised plans, site, building, landscape, etc., are submitted in digital and paper formats for review and approval by the Department of Community Development prior to the submission of building permit applications. 2, that all mechanical equipment, ground, building, and rooftop is screened from view. 3, that all building and fire codes are met. 4, that the stormwater and grading plans are submitted for final approval by the engineering department prior to the issuance of permits. 5, that all water and sewer utility connections are coordinated with the Oak Creek Water and Sewer Utility. 6, that final lighting details are submitted for final approval by the electrical inspector prior to the issuance of building permits. 7, that all exterior materials are approved as proposed. And number 8, that one monument sign with a max height of 6 feet, as proposed in the renderings, be approved, and the location to be determined by staff and developer at a later date.
Guzekowski will second.
Motion is made, seconded by Guzekowski. Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Kavich, aye.
3D aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Shepherd, aye.
Chandler, aye.
All right, good luck. And the final item of the evening is item 5B. It's a review a certified survey map submitted by North Fine Apple Tower Development, Inc. for the properties at 8380, 8400, 8432 South 27th Street. Text key numbers as listed. Carrie?
Plan commissioners may recall that a version of this map was reviewed and approved by both the commission and the common council in October and November of last year for these particular properties. It was during that time that there were 3 proposed lots, all to be building lots. Based on conversations among the landowners, city staff, and purchasers of Lot 1, a revised map was submitted showing only the division of 1 building lot with the remaining land as 1 outlot. Lot 1 is anticipated to be the future location for the Villa Healthcare Facility, which received rezoning and conditional use approval in 2015. Conditions of approval are listed for the commission's review, with the exception of some clarifying language and a condition explaining the process required for the development of the outlot. The conditions are the same as were approved on the previous CSM. Staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the certified survey map for the properties at 8640 South, oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong address, for the properties be approved subject to conditions 1 through 5. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. We'll take the questions from the commission. Applicants here, or representative of the applicant. Any questions, comments? Alderman Bekavich, do you?
No, other than, Carrie, you said the addresses are not correct.
The address on my notes is incorrect. The addresses that are in your report are correct.
Thank you. No, it should be rather standard as to what we've
Yes, the conditions of approval, again, are pretty much the same as were approved previously, except for some clarifying language and one additional requirement.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything from the applicant? You're good? All right, motion.
Steve,
Nope.
hold on.
Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
Are these gonna be notes on the CSM for the clarifications for Outlot 1? And also, would there be a objection for a note to be placed on there that a wetland delineation was not completed for Outlot 1?
We have a condition, that a wetland delineation be completed prior to development. So that's condition 4. That was the same as was approved for the last CSM, just recognizing that this is now one outlot rather than 2 building lots.
Good?
Okay.
Motion.
Gavich will make a motion that the Plan Commission recommend to the Common Council that the certified survey map for the properties at 8380, 8400, and 8432 South 27th Street be approved with the following conditions. 1, that all technical corrections, including but not limited to spelling errors, minor coordinate geometry corrections, and corrections required for compliance with the municipal code and Wisconsin statutes are made prior to recording. 2, that a new certified survey map or subdivision plat is submitted for review and approval by the Plan Commission and Common Council prior to the development of Outlot 1. 3, that the officially mapped street pattern for South Orchard Way is depicted on the map prior to recording. Compliance with dedication of this street pattern per municipal code is required at the time of a certified survey map or subdivision plat is submitted for the development of Outlot 1. 4, that a wetland delineation be completed on Outlot 1 by a Wisconsin DNR approved professional prior to the development of Outlot 1. Should the survey indicate presence of wetlands, a new CSM or affidavit of correction be submitted to the City of Oak Creek for review and approval per municipal code. And 5, that the deferred special assessments are paid in full prior to recording.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Scafidi, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seipert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Grillo moves to adjourn at 6:53.
Seipert seconds.
Motion seconded by Seipert. Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Scafidi, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seipert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Have a good night. See you next Tuesday.